put yourself in a position where you can't retreat, where it's do or die, sink or swim. Here's what you'll find out. You'll develop incredible swimming skills. You'll find yourself stroking unlike you've ever seen before. Through the inspiration of desperation, you'll become more creative than ever before. Throw your whole self into it. All you can do is all you can do. And all you can do is enough. But make sure you do all you can do.
Welcome to Burning the Ships, presented by 608B Capital. And here again today with Mr. Billy Phillips.
Yeah, we need
What's up?
Doing good, man.
Yeah.
Doing good. Good workout this morning. Finally got my coffee in and I'm ready to roll.
So what's funny for those listening may not know how just chaotic my world stays when it comes to keeping things organized and ready. But Bill and I have planned, basically we've blocked off 4 or 5 hours today, and we planned it for about a week where we were going to do some recordings, do some rambles, just together for stuff in business. So my part of that is making sure the mics are all charged up and the camera's all charged up.
Yeah, and I got to be honest. I'm thankful that I just let you handle all that and I just show up, which is kind of nice. But there's been a few instances for sure of things not working or microphones turning off and stuff like that. Yeah. We just got to get you like a admin that just follows you around to do all that stuff for you.
Yeah. When it comes to technology, like I know things need to be done, but the technology piece of it, I left here yesterday thinking the microphones were charging.
Yeah. Pretty simple thing to do.
They weren't. We got here this morning. They're not charged. So
the electricity didn't go out.
Yeah. All that's to say that we're having to kind of record this a little goofy today. We're sharing a mic. Our Bluetooth mics are on charge right now because we're going to do a couple rambles today. But this one, we're recording not with our nice camera and not with our Bluetooth mic. So basically it looks like, what's the movie where the two dogs are eating spaghetti together?
Lady and the Tramp.
Lady and the Tramp. Yeah. We got a little bit of that going on.
Yeah. It just got a little awkward.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Because now I'm thinking about that. I don't even know what we're talking about now.
We're going to talk today about basically trusting the process. And we're going to relate it to a lot into our business because, you know, we have real life, like as of this second, examples that we can share where the process always wins, right? It always comes out on top in the end. And even though we like to sometimes, and we can both be guilty of it, but we like to think we can reinvent the process sometimes or come up with a better way or make things happen quicker. Human beings have been on this earth for forever. And there are proven examples of when people just do systematic things over and over with consistency and discipline, things work out, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to talk a little bit about that.
For sure. And I think that, you know, you hear a lot in business is, you know, make yourself a little bit different, do something, you know, that's out of the ordinary, that's going to make you stand out, where that is important for running a good business. But the process of building a business or building a business like we're doing, the best thing you can do is go back and look at the thousands, millions of people that have done similar things before, figure out what they did, which comes down to daily processes and building and do what they did. Right. Yep. And that's ultimately what we've done within our business.
Yeah. But we've done that while also having this constant struggle of, I mean, I know for me daily, I'm trying to think creatively, right? How can we do things a little bit, which is good because out of those millions of thoughts, every once in a while, a nugget comes out of there like, oh shit, we didn't think about that. Let's try that. And you do the same thing. But at the end of the day, like our business, we'll relate it to that a little bit and then we'll talk about other things, but our business is pretty simple. You know, it's complex in the sense that, you know, there's a lot of details and nuances to it. But in our business, our lending business, I'm talking about, not our real estate portfolio. In the lending business, we rely on investors to invest in our company and our model and all the things that we have projected to happen. So we rely on that. So we have to raise capital and then we have to find borrowers to
Yep.
lend that money to. That's it.
That's simple.
It's simple. So what does that mean? We have to plant seeds for investors and borrowers over a long period of time, knowing, just marketing 101, the more we're in front of them, the more we talk to, the more they get to know us, the more they trust us, they like us, and eventually we start harvesting some of those plants that we planted the seeds a while back.
Yeah.
Right?
And, this business is a great example because, right out of the gates, we're starting our fund. We're going to lend to borrowers. We have to go find investors. Well, it's not as easy as saying, hey, I opened up a business investor, come give us your money and we're going to go put it to work.
Even if they love us to death.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, it would be great if like month one, we get all this investor capital in, all the loans fall in, and that's great.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people look at it that way where, all right, I'm going to start this business and by, 3 months from now, we're going to be rolling.
Yep.
And it doesn't work that way.
Right.
Because it's got to be every day consistent, reaching out to borrowers, reaching out to investors, or marketing what we're doing. So people know what we do.
Right.
Like, and honestly, we found out early on, and we still get some feedback like this because with our business, a lot of people don't understand that aren't in real estate that might want to invest with us. They may or may not understand what we're doing.
Right.
Even through social media and all the things we're doing, it can get pretty confusing.
Yeah.
And it's just more and more putting it out there, being consistent with it so people understand what we're doing. And it's cool looking back a year and a half ago, say the amount of investors we're talking to or we're marketing to, like a lot of those from a year and a half ago are coming in now.
Yep.
Right. Because they've been watching us over the last 2 years, what we've been doing. And if we just were to say, well, it's not working and we stop right now, then we'd be done.
Right. And how often does that happen? Where we talk about it a lot. You hear it a lot in the circles that we kind of run in within business, but the hockey stick growth, right? It's usually a 3 to 5 year process to see the compound effect set in. How many people stop in year 3? Right before things are popping. And it'd be easy for us to do that too.
Yeah.
Just say, God, I have felt this to some degree where I came from a world of sales where it's conversation, present a product, they buy that product or they don't. And I keep following up, but I move on to the next person, right? It's just rinse and repeat. So there's a lot of instant gratification in that world.
For sure.
Now I go to a world where we're selling something that doesn't have a lot of urgency, right? They can invest it in at any point. And for me, I've struggled with that piece of having a meeting with someone, knowing they love what we're doing, they understand it, it's all good, and then it turns into, yeah, I'll keep y'all in mind, or I'm interested, I'd love to do something, and it's just getting that close done and not happening overnight. And therefore, I feel like I'm failing at the process when actually that's exactly how this thing works.
That is the process.
Right. That is the process.
And being able to get through that.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy. And we can relate it, I think, to our W-2 careers as well, right? Because you go in, you get a job, 2 weeks later, you get paid, right? And the world that we're living in, right, it's that one more step of, all right, I have to have the urgency. I've got to have, all the processes in place, but I also have to know that I'm not getting paid in 2 weeks, and I have to be okay with that.
Yep.
And keep doing what I'm doing because that it's gonna pay dividends in the long run.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part, I think, especially for entrepreneurs that are chasing every shiny object, trying to get paid next month instead of 2 years from now.
Yeah.
And 3 years from now. And that's hard to do.
Yeah. 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 And I mean, at some point there does have to be some like immediate income, right? You got bills to pay, right? The Dominion Power, Bill jokes on me a lot. I call it my light bill, but they're going to turn my lights off if I say, hey guys, I'm going to pay y'all in 2 years when I sell this property. No, I got to have some income coming in. So there is some sense of urgency there, but the big stuff that we're building, like our real estate portfolio is a good example. And people that are in real estate will understand this, but you can be net worth wealthy, right?
Yeah.
And not have $1,000 in the bank, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of entrepreneurs, especially in real estate, that are that way. We're an example. We have money in the bank, but we have a real estate portfolio that on paper, with the equity and what we have, we are multimillionaires.
Yeah.
I can't go to the 123 Main Street and pull $200 out to go pay my electric bill. Right. It's not paying me there. So there is, you practice delayed gratification in that sense, but the process is knowing that if you just keep doing these things over and over and over, it starts trickling in, and then that hockey stick growth. But it goes back to, so many people give up. What if they had just kept going 3 more months? And then I think I can share a real example for us, right? Let's say we had given up, because we've been at this a year and a half, and we've been rolling. Like, we've been bringing consistent money.
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years. Oh, well, the fund, like raising capital for the fund.
Okay.
Yeah, about a year and a half. So I had this big idea, or this, I guess, confidence, because of my success in sales in my prior career, that I was just going to be able to transition right into bringing in investor capital, and it would be just as easy as my former career. So I set these giant goals. I shared them with y'all, and like, all right, that's what I'm chasing for. Well, the goal by the end of this year, and we're recording this the week before Christmas. This probably won't come out till after the new year, but the goal was to raise about $10 million by the end of this year. Right.
Yep.
2 weeks ago, we were maybe halfway there. Right. We were about halfway there. I'm feeling like, internally, y'all aren't feeling like this, but personally, I'm feeling like, God, I haven't hit my goal. What I'm used to hitting my goals or getting there. What if I quit 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Right. And I'm heading somewhere here. If I quit 2 weeks ago, now 2 weeks later, we're going to end the year at probably about 80% of our goal.
Right at it.
Yeah. So we have added another 30-ish% to the amount of capital we've raised in a matter of 2 weeks, because some of those seeds we planted have now started coming. And people do that. They'll quit the 2 weeks ago and never realize. And we've had meetings over the last 2 weeks that boom, 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 and it's coming in.
Yeah. You know? And it only takes, you never know. This is something I've learned over the last 2 years, more so than ever, is you never know when that next hit is going to come. Right. And that's hard. Right. It's not, I'm going to get a paycheck in 2 weeks. And granted, this isn't a paycheck, but it is leading up to a lot of future paychecks, but you never know when it's going to come. And it's very easy to say, this isn't working. I'm done. I'm going to move on to something else. And then you're right back at zero, starting over again. Yep. Like, just even the thought of the amount of just effort and work and everything we've put into this over the last year and a half, 2 years, to just stop. Yeah. Like, I can't even imagine that. Right. But it's something that a lot of people fall into. Right. It's not working like I thought it would. And instead of going back and looking at it from a standpoint of, what am I doing every day? I mean, how many conversations have we had like this on, are we going about our marketing the right way? Are we talking to the right people? Are we doing enough? Are we reaching out to enough people and setting goals around that? And ultimately, it always feels like you're not doing enough, but it's going back. All right, this is what we said we were going to do. We did it. We have to be happy with it. And just to be able to live and just be at peace with yourself, that it's going to come. It's going to work out. And I think that early stages of starting a business are the epitome of dealing with that and trying to get through it. And if you get through it, and we have so many countless exampos of people ahead of us that have done it. That's it. Right. Yeah. That's the thing. Like, if we were sitting here starting something brand new, and I invented something, because I'm an inventor, I'm so creative and all. I had invented something brand new, and we're going to put it out on the market, and it's going to be the next big thing. But nobody's ever seen it before. Nobody's ever sold it before. Nobody's ever built this business around it before. Right. Like, how can you have faith in that? Right. If nobody's ever done it before. Yeah. But so many people have done what we're doing, and maybe little different intricacies around their business. But ultimately, it comes back to daily activities, Are you doing what you committed to? Are you doing what you told yourself you were going to do? Because I have weeks where I look back and say, hey, I didn't get enough done this week, or I didn't do what I said I would do.
Right.
And it makes you feel like shit.
Yep.
Right. If you don't do that. But at the same time, it's like, all right, I can't live in the negative that everything's going to go, or it's not going to go as planned. You have to get used to it, but you're never going to be happy. I'm never going to be happy if I know I'm sitting there not doing what I need to do.
Right. What you're talking about. So I sent you and Tim a picture.
Looking up something on your phone?
Yeah, because it's a picture that, and we'll try to put this in, anybody watching this or whatever, but there's a picture of Jeff Bezos sitting in a dingy office with Amazon.com written in like marker, like airbrush on just a cheap piece of paper on the wall. He's got his computer. He's looking miserable. And it was in July of 1994. I'm looking at it right now. And I sent that picture to Bill and Tim, to you and Tim. Like at that point, do you think he was feeling like, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah.
What am I doing? I'm sitting here grinding. I've got this great idea. I know it can work. You talk about inventing something like that was a game changer, and he knows it can work. He's got this big idea. He's got to go sell it to investors and things like this. And he's guarantee his first several years, he did not hit his goals. Right. And then all of a sudden something popped and now it is.
And that's another level, because he was creating something new.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't new in the sense that, he's selling products to people that want to buy products like no different than Walmart, but he's doing it in a different avenue than anybody else.
Right.
But like, how tough do you think that was for him to motor through?
Yeah.
And then look at, the other side of it.
Right.
And that's an extreme one,
yeah.
Because that was something new. Like the things that we're doing, it's simple. It's not new. It's just knowing that it works.
Yeah.
And being able to follow through, every week, every month.
Right. But for every Jeff Bezos, there are hundreds of thousands of Jeff Bezoses out there that got to year 3 and 5, and they're just like, God knows this ain't going anywhere, and they shut down shop
and go get a sales job somewhere.
He was just relentless enough to get through that, trusting it, and made it through. Elon Musk is a good example of that. There's several examples of that, but and we don't even nor do we have goals to be at that level, but it's a good example of it goes back to the process. And like, what is the process? The process for us in business, it's easy. We know what we have to do. We have to touch people, not physically touch them, but we have to reach out and consistently have conversations, show up at the meetings, build relationships, all things that we don't mind doing, but it does get old after a while. Right. And, but we have to trust that if we keep doing it, it will move the needle and get things going. And I think, I've shared the example with you before in my former career. And we had an agent with an insurance sales agent that for 10 years straight, and she continues to do it. Now she's in management, but she was out of say 250 sales reps with the company every year, top. Like, we all have the same product to sell and the same pricing and all that. She always won year after year. So I keyed in on her hardcore. Like, what are you doing? I became very close to her. I'm going to have her on the podcast as we get into next year, because I just think it'd be cool to kind of go in deep with her. But from day one, she had a process, and her process was very simple, but nobody does it. She's taught it through the company year after year, but nobody consistently does it like her. And it was, I meet Bill Phillips. We have a conversation. Bill, are you okay if I follow up with you next Friday? Yes. She has a little notebook. She keeps that in. Next Friday, she calls Bill Phillips. Bill, not interested now? You okay if I follow up in January? Okay. Puts it in her book, follows up in January. She's done this for now 15 years. And she uses a book that is, for those not watching, I'm using my hands, but it's as thick as you can fit paper in a book. So it's not electronic. She has used that system and that process over and over and over. And her mentality is, I'm going to keep following up with Bill Phillips for 15 years if I have to, until he purchases what I'm trying to sell him, or he says F off.
Yeah.
That's her philosophy. And that's a process.
Yeah.
And she hadn't created anything new. It's just trusting that you touch people, and metaphorically over and over and over, eventually you will get your result, in sales.
Yeah.
So,
and ultimately it's a confidence thing too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of, I don't care. And I've struggled with this, is I don't care, what they think of me for reaching out. I'm not going to be feeling like I'm burdening them by reaching out.
That's the hard part.
That's the hard part.
Right.
And I struggle with it.
Yep.
Am I burdening people? Am I wasting their time? Things like that. And that's one thing that, whether she had a block on it or not, she's got a system, and that system pushes her through that process. So she's going to do it no matter what, until somebody tells her to go away.
Yep.
Or they purchase.
And what helps with that confidence, and not like getting over that, am I bothering this person? Am I bothering this person? All right. She is selling a product that person needs in one way or another, whether they buy it from her or not. So she's has so much confidence in the fact that I have something available for you.
Yeah.
You can buy it from anybody else, but I also offer it. I would appreciate it if you would just take a look at what I offer.
Yeah.
So she's so confident in that. And for us, we have, like on the investor side, we have an investment opportunity for you to make a very good return, passively, relatively low risk. We think it's something you'd be interested in. And we have to keep following up until you say, I'm not interested, or yes, I am. Let me hear more. And there's nothing wrong. You're not burdening anybody. Anybody that views that as a burden, honestly, that's on them, right?
Yeah.
Now, I can go about that in a very obnoxious way. Like, hey man, why have you bought? Yeah, what's wrong with you?
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. You're missing out.
Which we're not going to do that.
Right. But there is a balance there. And, but it just goes back to the process. And that process, we've spent most, and we're going to wrap it up here in a little bit, but we've spent most of this conversation applying it to our business. It applies to anything. It applies to health and fitness. We're living examples of that.
That's the easiest thing to relate it to.
Right.
Right. Going to the gym every day, eating right, things like that. You're never going to see results immediately.
Nope.
Ever. And being consistent with it.
Right. You want to see real life examples of this, go on January 2nd and go to your local gym or your YMCA.
Yeah, I'll stay home that day.
Right. But go there that day and take inventory. Write down how many people are there and write their names down. And I'm obviously you're not going to do this, but do that, and then go on a week later and do the same thing, and a week later and do the same thing. You're going to see 100 people go down to 80, down to 60, back down. By March, it's going to be the same 20 people that have been there every day. So what happened to those 80 people? Those 80 people got excited. They got motivated, and motivated doesn't hold a candle to discipline, right?
Right.
So they use that motivation. They get in there. They don't see a result. They've worked out a week and they're looking down. They don't have a six pack, or they've worked out a week and their goal was to lose 50 pounds. They've only lost 2. And like, God knows I'm going to have to do this 25 more weeks to get there. So they drop out. So they get motivated, but they never train the discipline. And those 20 that are left, they're disciplined.
Yep.
They're there every day because they don't have necessarily goals. They're just, this is who I am. Most days they're not motivated. Are you motivated to work out most days?
No.
90% of the time, I don't want to do a workout.
Not at all.
And we've sat here and done one every day for over 3 years.
Yeah.
So that's discipline. It's not motivation, right? The motivation is knowing that if I apply discipline, long-term, I'm going to be vibrant enough and physically able to be with my kids and stuff like that. That's it.
Yeah. And I know we're wrapping up,
Yeah.
but one more, I think, good example, and back to business and our business is, and this will ring true to anybody in the real estate world, but what is the one thing, you go to real estate meetups, you talk to other investors that are getting started out, what is the one thing you hear as the main complaint for people trying to buy houses? I can't find deals.
Can't find them. Yep.
Can't find deals. There's no deals. And, you know, for us, when we got started years ago, where we said we were going to get hard, you know, start hitting heavy trying to find deals. And this is while working W-2 jobs. Like, we got after it. And on the little bit of time that we had, we just started reaching out to people. More and more people, had a list of people every day. I was going out at lunch doing it, and just trusted that process would eventually work out. And I think from the time, because we were doing it separately at first, but like from the time I got just motivated to go buy real estate, it was a year, I think, before I got that first deal.
Yeah.
Right. For a whole year, I'm reaching out to people, but I could have easily given up at any point during that year and never bought that first house.
That is a great example.
Right.
Because most people do. Yep.
And that first house, it wasn't even just buying it. It's crazy now. Like the first house I bought, it was for $80,000. It's worth, you know, I think $250 now, years later, but it scared the crap out of me. And even getting to just actually closing on the deal, every step of it, which I knew everything was right, but it was just a little bit of fear that it's not going to work out like it's supposed to or anything like that, almost held me back. Mm-hmm. And then that one, it worked. And then it was just floodgates after that of just, let's go, buy more. And next thing you know, the next year we buy 8 houses. Right. And then the next year, you know, it's, I could have stopped. Yeah. I started in January looking.
Right.
The next January I bought a house. I could have stopped in July and said, you know what? This is harder than I thought it was going to be, because it was harder than I thought it was going to be. And we're not sitting here right now because I didn't buy that one house.
Dude, you're same here. I mean, I was buying houses a little bit before you, because you kind of bought a few, but going from 0 to 1 is the hardest.
Yeah.
Right. Going from 1 to 5, kind of hard, but you now you're building some reps. Going from, you know, let's say we get to 10. For us, going from 10 to now we've overall transactions on 100 units or more probably has been easy.
Yeah.
There are hard parts to it, but think of the fear you had buying that first house.
Oh yeah.
And now we sit down and we'll close on, you know, several units at a time. Not even like, where do I sign? It's no stress.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's getting comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And comfortable with the process. But
right.
It's like, once you go through it.
Yeah.
But you have to go through it. And you have to be willing to go through it and actually finish on the other side.
Yeah. It took you a year. And most people do quit after 3 or 4 months of 0 results. And they say,
can't find deals.
I've got, you know, several friends that say, man, I've been hunting, I can't find anything, or I keep getting outbid.
For years.
Okay. We were putting in 10 offers a week, you know, that we were sticking to that, or whatever the metric was, and low ball offers, getting them all rejected, you know?
Yeah. And even the fear of, you know, I might make a bad purchase.
Yeah.
Right. We've made bad purchases. It happens.
For sure.
Right. But you got to understand that that's part of it. Right.
And that's things. Right. A whole nother topic of resilience, and just like, all right, here it is. Let's get through it, which we can talk on that another time. But yeah, trust in the process, trust in patience, trust in just trust in prior people's or people ahead of you, their prior experience, because you don't have to look far to see examples of people that have been right where you are, struggling through it, and then 3 years later they're hammering it, right? And we're living that.
I think I've talked about this book on the podcast before, but what it takes, was it Charles? I think of his name now, Schwartz from Blackstone. Mm-hmm. He's the owner and CEO of Blackstone.
Still haven't read that book,
so I'm reading it again.
Okay,
only because it's motivational, but just hearing his story to what he built, and it's similar to Amazon, but like, he went through every trial and tribulation you could possibly imagine, trying to raise money, trying to sell what his product was, where he thought it was going to be easy. And the same thing, his phone didn't ring for like the first year. Mm-hmm. Right. And now he's, you know, one of the biggest equity firms ever. You know, it's crazy, but it's a good read. And it definitely talks to, I mean, most of those books of guys like him and Amazon and stuff are kind of go down that route, but that story is always the same.
Yeah. And a lot of people blow those books and stories off because, I don't want to be that big. Well, neither do we. Right. Yeah. I mean, if we get there, great, but like, that's not the goal. And that's not the point. The point is, they started right where you are at some point, right where we were at some point. And whether you want to get that big or hit the brakes when you become, you know, a millionaire or whatever it is, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's good examples and real life examples. That's, you lean on that experience, you trust that process, and nothing good, as cliche as it sounds, nothing good comes overnight. Nothing good comes easy. The hard road always has the best results. And
Absolutely.
you just got to grind through it and trust it. So that's a good stopping point, and that'll wrap up another episode of Burning the Ships Weekly Ramble, presented by 608B Capital. We are a real estate debt fund. We offer passive investment opportunities for accredited investors. We pay 8 to 12%, depending on whatever level you come in as an investor. And then we offer short-term loan products to fix and flippers and things of that nature. So if you have any interest in any of those types of products, reach out to us. And as always, whatever platform you're listening or watching on, please help us out by liking, subscribing, sharing it with a friend, rating us, reviewing us. I know I sound like a broken record, but our goal with this podcast is nothing more than to just try to touch and influence as many people as we can through our conversations and our interviews. And the only way we do that is with you guys helping us share that and get it out in front of more people. So with that, we'll wrap it up. We hope you all have a great week.